Dr. Bicycle, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be showing you an awesome BBSO2 upgrade.
Now, what are your degrees there?
Alright, I admit it. I'm not a real doctor. I'm just a guy in a garage.
So why would anybody want to switch to short cranks? One of the problems with the BBSO2 kit is it's not quite mountain ready because it uses a square taper bottom bracket. Fortunately, there's a simple trick around this, and this is to use Minicranks.
The shorter crank arm length dramatically reduces the torque on the bottom bracket axle and the actual crank arm itself by reducing the amount of leverage at the bottom bracket joint. Secondly, finding a high quality crank arm for the BBSO2 can be quite a challenge. Most square taper crank arms are made out of cheap aluminum alloys like 6061 T6. And to make matters more difficult, the BBSO2 is not compatible with most square taper crank arms because any square taper crank arm with the chain rings built into the crank won't work with the system. Fortunately, there's a type of crank arm that works perfectly with the BBSO2, and this is unicycle crank arms. They're symmetrical, so they're completely compatible, and they're built out of high quality alloys like 7075 T6, so they're 30 to 40% stronger than regular crank arms. The next major advantage to Minicranks is the pedaling speed. You want to be able to pedal on top of the motor. Now this is fairly easy when the motor is on low RPM, but when you put the BBSO2 on max power, it can be very difficult to pedal as fast as the motor. The larger your crank arm is, the faster you're going to have to pedal to keep up with the motor. To make the deal even sweeter, Minicranks use about half the material of regular cranks, and so you're saving about half a pound of weight per crank. The next major advantage to Minicranks is if you have bad knees like me, or just want to protect your knees, Minicranks are going to make all the difference in the world between riding and not riding. Simply bending the knee puts a dramatic amount of pressure on the kneecap, and this is why a lot of people who work in offices sitting down all day actually have runner's knee, despite not running at all. Minicranks allow you to pedal while keeping your knee within a healthy range of motion. Now, what is the ideal size of Minicranks you should buy? Well, this is going to depend on your height. I'm an average height guy, I'm about 5'10", and the perfect length for me is 100 millimeters. Once you start getting shorter than 100 millimeters, your pedaling radius becomes so small that your muscles can't actually exert much force on the cranks, and you lose a lot of pedaling power. You can think of it like a leg press at a gym. Your leg doesn't have as much power in this position as it would in this position. At the same time, 100 millimeter is short enough that you won't have to worry about damaging your cranks or axles, and you'll also be able to easily keep up with the motor. If you're super tall, you might want to go for a 114 mil, and if you're super short, you might want to go for 90 mil.
I highly recommend the Nimbus Venture. You can buy these at more or less any unicycle store, and I've tested these and they're very, very strong.
This has been Dr. Bike at funnycycles.com. Happy trails!